Hello, hello, and welcome to the Fireside Portal. Um, we were going to have a game tonight, but as it turns out, our DM actually couldn't make it. So what we've decided to do is do a little bit of collaborative one-shot creation, which should really help out anybody sort of thinking about coming on the show and the sort of ideas that they can come up with, just to sort of prove that pretty much we can do anything. Uh, so, Mr. Magero, what did you have in mind?
Uh, Hi, my name's Magero. Wait, no, I'm not a character today. I'm sorry. Kind of am, kind of not. First off, chat. Can you hear me? Can somebody let me know if they can hear me this time? I don't want to go through half hour of not being heard. That sucked last time. Yeah. Oh, yay! They can hear me. How exciting! Awesome. Cool. So, so we decided that we're going to build a one shot together. It's going to be us, the cast members, and you, the chat. And not sure what we're going to quite build quite yet. This is going to be a lot of suggestions from everybody involved. We're probably going to use the 5-room dungeon as kind of our guide to this little one shot. And I'm just generally excited to be here, and I'm excited to be heard, and not run into mic issues last week. Oh man. Oh. So let's see here. Mr. Liam, do you want to say anything about this today? Oh.
Is it your turn now to not be heard? Brilliant.
It's your turn, Liam. Yeah, you might have to exit out and come back in real fast. Ah. It's going to be somebody. It's going to be somebody, of course.
Yeah.
What's your viewpoint on one shots on Terrius?
I love making them. They're super fun to make to me. I always start with a nice theme and go from there. And I have just a really bad habit. I wouldn't call it a bad habit. I love doing it, of throwing things in one shots that make players super suspicious, but they are literally nothing. It's just like, hey, that's a barrel in a corner. The way you can describe the barrel in the corner makes them think that's a mimic.
1 minute, you're not back yet.
Oh, Shakes, that's so nice of you. You know, Ash makes most of that up on the fly, right? He doesn't really pre-plan too much ahead of time. Hey, Tiger, how's it going? So yeah, I'm really excited. We get to actually chat with the chat, and I like that.
Okay. I have, yeah. Try it again. Try talking again.
Yeah. So we're doing sound checks at the moment. Just make sure all 4 of us can be heard, because we ran into an issue last week when I couldn't be heard. Now this week apparently it's Liam's turn. So if you guys can hear him, Shakes is saying still no volume.
I've literally got.
Well, until we see something. Yeah, if you guys noticed there, I managed to scramble up a few basic emotes for now, just because it's nice to have different emotes in chat.
I think what you need to do, Liam, is just keep talking for a minute and just talk, because I need to try and figure out why. So, can anyone actually hear Liam at all?
Can you sing a little song for us?
Oh,
It'll benefit me.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, is that what we get? Oh, okay, I think I figured out first channel points redemption. Ha. Mind you, that will not work in the middle of a regular stream. Oh.
I have many cowboy jokes in my disposal. I grew up in the South, so.
Just double checking. Hey, check. Can you hear Ontarius at least?
Oh, I should probably talk.
Yeah, that might help.
That's probably
That
quite
might-
useful. Can hear everyone except
Okay.
Liam. Got no idea why.
Oh, Vix hears all of us. That's weird. Vix can hear us. Wait, Vix, can you hear Liam? Oh, no.
It was a
Never
tease.
mind.
No.
The president is leading us astray once again. How sus.
Okay, I've got one more thing to try, which is do this. Well, no, because I need to find out exactly when they can hear you again. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, I love the new channel, Goblins.
Did that work? Did that possibly do anything?
I hear you on the stream.
Well, oh, Vix is saying they can hear you.
I don't know what it is about.
All
this thing. I think
right.
we've got it. Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, all four of us can be heard.
Was it you that did it, or was it I that did it? Because I've got 3 microphones hooked up, and I just unplugged 2 of them, and now
that
one's
might be
working.
it.
So
That might be it.
okay.
Why do you have 3 microphones?
Look, I'm an audio nerd. I like having different ones. I got the one that's in my laptop that's actually the one that's currently working, so we're not going to play with that one.
Well, that's good. So it's not me.
Well then,
It's just that you have like 3 microphones plugged in.
I think we're still going to blame you.
I blame software.
My cam's frozen.
No,
Was frozen.
There's a bit of a lag with his camera on. I'm just continuously updating it.
It's okay. Honestly, Shanks was probably taking screenshots of me. It's okay.
Is that what you're doing, Shanks? Are you taking screenshots of the Triple H Club?
Listen, I give him a very hard time on his streams. He can give us a hard time too.
Oh yeah, he can give us a hard time, all right.
So we're working now. Okay.
All right.
Yay! So
that's good news.
that is very good news. So I think the first thing to have a look at is there's a couple of different ways of going about doing a one shot, and there's no particular correct way. Everybody has their own sort of ways of looking at them. Personally, I use a storytelling way of doing it, known as a 1-2-1. That's the way that I do it. I know for a fact that my Lord Crimson prefers this.
The 5.
I've been entertained a little bit more thoroughly by the 5-room dungeon on streams.
Yeah, it really depends on what your motivation is and how you kind of work. Personally, I prefer to start with the story and then sort of have the undercurrent of a story running through it. But some people just like the mechanics. Like, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And that's the order. And if they skip from 1 to 3, that's fine. If they only do 2, 4, 5, that's great. But you just have the 5 things. So, my question is, which one would people like to do?
You want to kind of explain the 1-to-1? I'm not overly familiar with it.
Yeah,
it's the same basic concept. It just allows for paths, right?
Yeah. So 1-to-1 kind of, if you think of it as a beginning, a middle, and an end. So there's an introduction, some sort of conflict, and then a conflict resolution. The reason you call it 1-to-1 is because there might well be 2 conflicts that you've created, or 2 alternatives that people can do. So you have the introduction, people can either go left or right. If they go right, we follow that story and there's a resolution. If we go left, there's a resolution and a conflict and a resolution. It's a little bit more...
The cool thing about the 1-to-1 is the consequences, though, because when you add in two different choices, it allows them to, oh, well, that family died because you chose to do this. Like, it's true.
Yeah.
I love moral dilemmas. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, and I seem to remember a long time ago back on Void, we were chatting about the best sort of things you've ever done as a DM, and mine has always been like moral dilemmas and trying to give the party an existential crisis. I think is my absolute like tip top way of doing it. And actually, if you go and watch something that the lovely Shanks, who's in chat, was in, which was the Vampire the Masquerade's game, that was an absolute classic 1-to-1, where they had a setup. They then had, it was actually more like a 1-3-1 because they just had so much that they could then go and do. Yep, Vampire Masquerade's great game. And what it all eventually led to was a moral choice. And it was that the final one was always going to be a moral dilemma. Do we solve the problem, or do we let the problem continue, solve itself, and then deal with the consequences? Which was interesting. And yes,
I still haven't played it either.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what. We'll figure out a game of it at some point. It is a long
one of these weeks that we don't have a DM. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I'll get everyone a character, and you can come on and play. I'm sure Shanks would love to reprise his his. Well, is it his regular character? I suppose it is his regular character because it's just a dude with a gun.
It's just a dude with a gun.
Just a dude with a gun.
So he's like a bland Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Like no spice at all.
No. I'm sure he's still got a bullwhip around too.
Oh, of course.
It's just an ongoing joke that
to me that's a Shanks signature weapon right there. It's the bullwhip.
Every one of my games that I run, Shanks ends up as the same dude.
All right. We're digressing a little bit here.
So I think 1-to-1 is probably a little bit complicated for a collaboration one shot, but 5-room dungeon is always a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah,
because you can actually pretty much just come up with 5 independent taglines, or 5 completely independent. How do I answer? Aww.
But Shanks, I would be hurt if you left us like that.
Yeah. Me too.
All right.
Doctor with no gun.
Anyway, sorry. 5-room dungeon.
Okay.
So a 5-room dungeon, you can actually just come up. What's great about this is they don't even need to be that interconnected to start with. You can just think of 5 completely independent things that you want to have happen, and then you can then use DM storytelling to kind of link them all together. It kind of sounds like a disparate way of doing it, but it does actually end up working quite nicely because you can sort of arrange what you're going to do around that.
It also allows for a lot of like creative thinking, and you can, if someone wants to do something crazy, you can allow them to do it because there's 5 rooms. It doesn't matter how they get to the next room.
Right.
They can crawl through a window. They can go through the attic.
Yeah.
So I just dropped a link for the 5-room dungeon. If anybody wants to just kind of take a glance through that on their own time and read through that, basically just sets up a scenario for each room. Like the first room that you go through is like your entrance. Maybe there's a guardian or something, and then it just kind of goes through a little bit more of a narrative point through each of the other rooms. And then by the time you get to the end of the dungeon, that's where your resolution happens.
I really like the 5-room dungeon too, because it kind of expands upon my structure for making one shots of like I follow set rules of like 1 puzzle, two fights, 3 fights, 1 puzzle, 3 fights, 2 puzzles, depending on the scale of how long I want it to go. And the 5-room dungeon lets people fill in those in betweens of them.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations, Straven. You just got a sub from
Ontario has been given a gifted sub from our friend Shakes.
Oh,
nice.
Thank you.
Oh, we love you.
So, and this is where the next question comes in because puzzles. Always the bane of the party's life, and it's a question of, do they work on live stream? I've had some.
They can.
horrific...
It depends on how the puzzle is presented, I would think.
Yeah,
I've seen some really good ones.
You have to make it really, really like, I don't want to say dumbed down, but like
blunt.
Yeah, it's got to be very black and white and maybe a little bit of gray mixed in. Like you tell them there's a rune on the wall, and then they say, okay, well, what's the shape of the rune? And then you go from there. Like you just kind of have to, I guess, put the dog on a leash and walk them.
Yeah.
You also have to be flexible with, giving hints, because if it's taking an hour to do this puzzle, it shouldn't have taken an hour to do that puzzle, and you need to get them through the puzzle. I do a Christmas one shot every year, and I had like a reindeer theme puzzle of like all Santa's reindeers, and it was just basically 3 poems and statues and whatnot, and they couldn't figure out the answer to the poem. I'm like, it's just a poem about the reindeer. So I had to basically say, what language do you speak? Oh, well, in your language, this is the word for this reindeer in your language, and just give them that little bit of a thread so they can go with it.
Yeah. And that's it. I think you can walk a real fine line between sort of entertainment and just torture.
Mm-hmm.
Torture's fun, just not on stream, I don't think.
Yeah. Nobody clipped.
I was probably streams for that.
Petros! Look at you! I'm excited. All right. Room 1, 5 wyverns. Room 2, 4 wyverns. Room 3, 3 wyverns. Room 4, 2 wyverns. Room 5, all the family members of the previous room occupants. And if you're there, they know you killed their family members. That's terrifying.
But why though?
Wyverns are...
No, not why though. Wyverns.
Wyvern.
But wyvern, I get it. Oh, sorry, it took me a second.
Somebody cast hideous laughter on all of us.
That was the earnest joke. That's good.
Yeah. So there's an interesting side to that, which is, does the puzzle have to be a puzzle? Because that I quite
well,
like...
you could also set up a role-playing challenge.
Yes. and or I think I did a Harry Potter one where the puzzle per se sort of wasn't really a puzzle. It was more just, have you been paying attention? As it turned out, no. Most of the characters had.
Oh, it's a pop quiz. I sucked at those in high school.
Yeah, that might help if you can't hear me. I have to be quite quiet because my kids sleep in the next room, so I've got to be quite sort of mellow. It is also incredibly late here. It's sort of midnight, so I've got to be careful. Until I move to my new place, and then I've got my own office in a completely different part of the house, so then I can go nuts.
Congrats on that.
Thank you. So it's yeah. Sometimes it doesn't really need to be a full-on puzzle. I've also seen DMs in the past. Rather than do a puzzle, that's when the moral dilemma comes in. It's not a puzzle; it's a choice. And that choice you make will affect what happens in the following dungeons. Which is always interesting. So, to go almost back on topic, the 5-room dungeon. Now, when we say a 5-room dungeon, it does not mean, well, it can mean literally, you become sentient in a room. You need to learn how to escape. You then go into the next room, the next room, the next room, the next room, to escape the dungeon. That is a perfectly accept. That's where sort of the original one-shot thing came from. It was sort of a dungeon side-scroller, back from the old days. But it doesn't have to be. It just means 5 locations. Is everyone sort of okay?
Whenever, yeah. So whenever you come up with your one-shots, how do you? I mean, I know we're going to ask the chat in this one, but how do you guys usually come up with your themes?
I normally start with. Again, it completely depends on the game. Like, the Harry Potter game is a great example. I started with what I wanted, how I wanted it to end, and then kind of did the 5 dungeons backwards, sort of without thinking it, because I sort of went, I've got a starting point, I've got 3 interactions, and then I've got the resolution at the end. And so it kind of naturally just became a 5-room dungeon without me even sort of thinking about it. It just naturally fit the scenario. But then there's other times where I've always started with, well, I have started with, you know, a cool opening, like waking up in a dungeon, not knowing where you are. It's different every time, really. It's kind of hard to.
I always like to start with thinking of, do I want this one shot to be a creepy ass one shot, or do I want this to be a fun, joyful, like just prank one shot in a way, and just having a good time, or somewhere in that like middle line, you know, think of what are the tone of the one shot wants to be, and then that really shapes what the one shot is. You know, you're not going to throw people into a crypt if it's a fun adventure, just like having jokes and having a good time. But you're not going to put people in a nice little happy tavern if it's supposed to be a really scary one shot.
And I'm sure it's also like your audience, I guess, too. If you know the people that are playing the game, you know, well, they typically like a very, very heavy role playing, not so much in the fighting, lots of fantasy. They want to fall in love, blah, 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 blah. Or they just want to fight a big dragon. And I mean, I guess it's completely different if you know them or if you don't.
Yeah. It again, the game system can be a huge draw to that as well. You know, if you're doing something like Dust City Outlaws, which is basically a one-shot game, however, it doesn't matter how you play it, really. It just ends up being a series of one-shots, even if you make a campaign. There's no point doing something that's not going to fit in that world. Like, you wouldn't open up Dust City Outlaws and go, right, we're going to do a spaceship adventure. Because it just doesn't fit, you know. It's a game that's very specifically designed around heists and criminal activity, but it's also incredibly Monty Python-esque with silliness, and or maybe that's just the way I play it. But
So you want to pick 3 with chat, and let's put a poll up and see what path they want to go down.
yeah, I'm sure Crimson can make that happen.
I can make a poll. Alrighty.
Let's
see here.
500 stone giants.
Okay. So chat. What let's get some ideas as far as stories or themes.
Yeah.
What?
Like 3 or 4.
We could go up to 5 pretty easily. We need a minimum of 2.
Let's do 20.
I'm not going through Streamlabs for this poll. Also, I don't want to like have more suggestions than we do viewers. That's weird. What kind of thing do? All right. So yeah, first thing we're trying to figure out is a theme. So it could be high fantasy, sci-fi, Harry Potter, general or as specific as you guys want.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody has a fancy in our lovely cast here, if we got a fancy, we could definitely throw that in there too.
I think put the ones you just said. I mean, they're vanilla, but just like a high fantasy, sci-fi.
It's like we could go general, or we can dive in as hard as possible, or even blend in anything. So,
someone in chat said surrounded by 500 stone giants. I think that was Pat.
Pat's just giving us just obscure improbabilities.
I mean, 500 stone giants. That would be interesting.
I do like the idea of being in the cave of a dragon. I know he was saying the wyverns. That I don't know. Like you're making your way through and the end is, or the 4th room would be the dragon room, and
okay, so we could throw a dragon's lair.
Call me inspired by what I'm looking at behind Crimson, but I just feel like
I have many dragons. I have many dragons,
I must say,
I even have little wood planks above me that says Dragon's Lair, so it's not
as good as high fantasy is, which I know a lot of people enjoy, the high fantasy settings. I must say one of my absolute favorites is sword and sorcery, and that sort of realistic, gritty side of fantasy, rather than sort of going down the
which one's the mimic? This guy, easy. This guy's the mimic.
What is that?
Sword and fantasy is what actually pulled me into the whole world of tabletop. So like I've got a very deep place in my heart for sword and fantasy. I like the idea of like, oh hey, maybe this could possibly be a real thing that happened.
What if we did one that was an adventure, that the real adventure was the friends that we made along the way?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Okay,
we
so
can.
I can write that in.
Anime inspired. Got it.
Big puppy dog anime eyes.
Just
you put Pokemon. So Sword and Sorcery. I threw steampunk on the list just because there's some great material to work with in that.
I've never done a steampunk one.
Have you watched Arcade at all? Because that did it really well.
Pokemon, okay.
Well, and
there we
anime.
go.
Sword and Sorcery, steampunk, just basic science fiction, a Dragon's Lair, anime inspired. Yeah.
But again,
I'm gonna get every person I know to vote for anime.
There is one.
What's that?
I'm gonna call everyone that I know in my contacts right now to come vote for the anime one.
There is also
the
like Call of Cthulhu style also, where it's you're just kind of in a room and you're trying to the mystery. You're trying to find out who the real killer is.
We can.
Whenever we all know the killer is probably going to be Stravith. I mean, it's
how dare you butcher my name in such a way?
I like the idea of a murder mystery. I'm a fan of that.
I'm sorry. How do you pronounce it?
Oh, Stravith.
Stravit. Oh, okay.
Hey,
Sorry.
Grouch Couch, welcome.
It's a very long A.
So, hello, Grouch Cat.
All right,
There is...
So I'm going to get this poll going.
While,
Yeah, I'm
while
going to
we're
get this
waiting
poll
for...
up.
Are we allowed to vote?
Why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
while
why not?
we're waiting for chat,
So that a few minutes.
while
Let's
we're waiting
go.
for the chat, and we're waiting for the poll and stuff. There is one thing that is probably worth mentioning, especially seeing as sword and sorcery, steampunk, Victorian mystery have come up, and that's to do with inspiration. Now, I have been inspired to do one-shots based around a painting. I've also been inspired based around a piece of music, and I know the wonderful Michelle from Voidcast, when he did the Call of Cthulhu one, that was based around a piece of music that he loved, and it was just he just sort of worked the piece of music into it and weaved it through the story, and sort of the theme of the story became, it was murder mystery, but it was all about what is this music that you can hear and what's going on with it. So you can sort of find inspiration anywhere. So just throwing that out there.
I catch mine a lot from video games, like old video games. I take a lot of my characters' inspiration from old tunes that I had, like on World of Warcraft and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's perfectly.
I'm playing one right now in person with Stravith. I took my character from that because I loved shamans from the old school WoW, where they actually used all totems and stuff. So I built a character around that, and then changed it completely because it wasn't very fun. But
I'm very boring with character creation. My characters are never anywhere near as interesting as the DM stories I come up with.
I definitely could definitely generate a character much faster than a one shot.
So
just looking at my D&D Beyond with my close to 40 character sheets.
Just go to D&D Beyond, pick 5 random monsters, and throw people at them. That's one shot, right?
Not quite. Not everybody's down for just a straight slugfest of monster after monster after monster.
Hey,
monster after monster.
Side scrolling.
Some people
dungeons.
are, and that's fantastic. What?
Proper
if you want to play Gauntlet Legends, go play Gauntlet Legends. Golden Axe.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Super Dungeon Explorer, the board game?
I have that at my store.
Yeah, Soda Pop miniatures. I tell you what,
Soda Pop minis.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is just set up a side scroller, and you just keep hacking away until you get to the end.
And you just keep rolling d20s on the monsters you have in your deck, and yeah.
All right. So the votes are in, boys. The votes are in. Looks like Sword and Sorcery has kind of won out.
Did you?
If we can,
you didn't vote for anime?
I didn't even see the poll.
Oh.
I said it was up.
Oh, sorry.
Well, anyway.
I don't know what the legality of this is, but I think the best thing from Sword and Sorcery I found, but if I'm doing something along that road, is to pick a piece of artwork. And so I don't know what the legality is. I'll tell you what I'll do. I know that I'm allowed to critique things. And as long as you don't, as long as you're actually critiquing what you can see, I think what we want is something like this. So I'm going to pull this over here. Because this is, to my mind, Sword and Sorcery in a nutshell. And please absolutely feel free to disagree with me, but it's
Conan the Barbarian.
If you're going to play some Conan the Barbarian,
you're gonna go
I,
Sword
as Magero, like this story.
If If you're going to get down sword and
I
sorcery,
see a lot of sword, not a lot of sorcery here.
well, it is sorcery because what you have is this is Conan fighting the Necromancer. And the Necromancer's this dude here, and he's just raising skeletons and zombies and just flooding our hero with.
All right, so we can go with the simple premise of characters need to find and defeat this enchanter of sorts that can summon legions of minions in a very short amount of time.
So Necromancer captures Red Sonja, and yeah,
Absolutely.
So that'll be our working premise.
I'm also a big fan of Golden Axe with like the old school arcade Golden Axe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again,
Very basic, yeah.
Just a side scroller. It's just
Yeah.
we're gonna keep throwing monsters at you until the end of the day and see if you're still alive. And the great thing is, with something like Sword and Sorcery, there's very little exclusion in a game like that. Sometimes I've found running things like more steampunk, running more futuristic style things. What can happen is you end up sort of excluding character choices because they don't really fit the world or they don't really fit the way. Sword and Sorcery, if you're playing D&D 5e, if you're playing Pathfinder, if you're playing any of the other sort of big fantasy style, there's not a single character that you can create that isn't going to fit that world in some way. So it's a very inclusive way to play, which is always great for one-shots, because you tend to find people want to play characters they wouldn't normally play. Unless they're me, in which case I just play a paladin. Always.
So
it's kind of, I know. So Necromancer.
Who has been captured?
What is that? What we're going to go with? We're going to go with Necromancer's captured someone.
We can go with Necromancer. We can go with Bowser.
Bowser's fun.
Why don't we just put?
We can go with an adult dragon.
You can go with Goldar, or you can go with Team Rocket. I mean, there's 100 options.
So
is everyone happy with LBEG?
Yes.
Big evil guy. Sure.
Little bad evil guy.
So it's a rescue mission. It's a rescue mission then.
Yeah, rescue mission basically.
Let's do that. Just someone's. We're gonna do rescue.
All right. I like it. Simple rescue mission.
So the good thing about that is that room 1 is pretty much going to write itself, because room 1 is always going to be how we're going to get there.
It creates the need for the rest of the rooms.
Mm-hmm. So what is room 1 going to be? Is it going to be a tavern? Is it going to be a church? Is it going to be
the setting?
It could be the King's Court. Looking for mercenaries trying to find and rescue their associate of some sort.
If we're going down the sword and sorcery,
you can spread it. You can definitely spread things out.
They have captured the princess. Because who doesn't like Super Mario?
Oh man.
Another option, you can, instead of just like having someone come and say, "Hey, you guys help get this person back," you can start it off with them seeing the person get kidnapped, and it's like, "Hey, we gotta go save them."
I do love those. Yeah, like you're at just as a hypothetical, like you're at a wedding and king, queen are getting married. Giant shadow appears, steals the queen.
Almost like the MMO cutscenes to intro the dungeon type thing.
Yeah.
And the great thing is that same scene can sort of be made to fit anything. So you take that basic concept of, let's say, being at a wedding.
Yes, they stole our hearts.
But let's say that it doesn't quite fit your need at that time. You've got the idea in your head. You can just reskin it. So reskinning's a wonderful thing if you want to be a DM and run a really long campaign. I just come up with ideas of one-shots, and then all I do is reskin them to put them wherever the party end up, so that they then have this sort of continuous story that seems to be rolling and rolling and rolling, and it without having to do all the work of sort of coming up with different things every time. So let's say the party never got to the wedding. Where else could this happen? Well, they're travelling along the road. Why not at a crossroads have a broken down royal carriage with a whole bunch of dead royal guards? It's still the same thing. The queen is en route to her wedding, has been captured. You need to go and find her. So there's a whole host, even though it's the same concept, there's a whole host of different ways that you can throw it out there. So
you want to make a couple of ideas and let chat vote on them?
Yeah. So we can either be in a castle, we can be in a woodland, we can be in a small village. All these things will work for a sort of princess.
If we're going for if we do end up going for the necromancer side, which we haven't obviously gotten there yet. There was a game I played. I forget what the name of it was, but the main character, the whole premise of the game was its heart was stolen and it had to get its heart back.
Kingdom Hearts.
Okay. I was thinking more along the lines of like Dragon's Dogma or something like that, but Kingdom Hearts is actually a good reference also. So like, wow, you just ruined.
You're welcome.
You just Mickey Mouse my idea. Never mind. Okay. Please continue.
All right.
Literally.
We got castle wedding. We're definitely rescuing a royal of some sort. So
yeah, royal.
Also, if you've never played Kingdom Hearts 3, please go and try it. It's an excellent game. I'm not being paid to say that. I'm just a fan.
I've played every one of them, except the one.
They announced Kingdom Hearts 3, and I immediately spent like $200 to get the entire collection on PlayStation 4. So worth it.
Yeah.
All right. So we got castle
and then
wedding.
3 years later, they released it.
Royal carriage.
Yeah, so we got royal carriage, we got in a tavern, we got at the wedding.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of places.
You're right, Tiger. They probably did buy the game. I'm freaking out. We could be camping in the woods and hear something going on, and they're being actually abducted as we go. Maybe we have to take escort the princess or the queen or whoever it is. We save her from being killed.
Or we could accidentally just stumble straight onto the enemy fortress.
That's always fun.
Always fun.
So, like, the rescuing the princess could be just an accidental byproduct.
Yep.
All right. Poll is made. Get your votes in this time. Sorry, no anime on the list this time around.
See.
Oh, I'm gonna go with that because that's
sounds so fun.
It's such a grand scale, I think.
Inconceivable.
So what do we do in the event of a tie?
What do we do in the event of a tie? Flip a coin.
I like ties. Ties are fun.
Roll the dice, high or low.
Well, they're a little tight around the neck, but like they're not too bad.
I am more of a bow tie person, though.
I believe that.
Like I can tie a bow tie perfect first time every single time. Always takes me a second try for the ties. Always.
I've never tied a bow tie before.
Yeah,
it's a lot of animals you have to make. That's the kind you just make animals, and then there's like a fish. There's an elephant.
Never heard it said like that, but okay.
That's how I learned how to do it. You just make a bunch of different animals.
I mean,
If you get it right at the first time, then I guess you're doing something right.
I mean, I just tie it. I didn't realize it was balloon
Is-
sculpting.
You don't imagine the elephant's trunk when you're doing it?
Is he trying to cast a hideous laughter on us?
I think so.
Maybe.
I think,
It's working if he
We
is.
might have a tie, so I think we might have to flip a coin for the card.
Oh, we still got like half the time to go.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we still got time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's timer
That's
there.
fine then. Yeah. Well, while we're here, I'll write out the rest of the rooms. So, because sometimes what's actually really useful
It's jumping around.
is to start with 1 and 5, and we can cleanse out then later how we're going to get there. Because we know where we want to start. We know what the end resolution is going to be, because we're going to have to try and resolve whatever happened in scene 1, and then we just need to think of a few stepping stones of how to get there, with some interesting ideas. And one day I will completely rip off Disney's Rapunzel and do the password trick.
I mean, if you really want to look into it, how much of the Disney stuff is actually original?
Nah,
Not much.
it's just
What are you talking about? They do everything completely off the top of the dome.
my daughter made me watch Rapunzel today, and I giggled a little bit too hard at the sort of when they close all the doors, and he sort of knocks on the door. He says, "Password." What? That's not the password. Open this door. That's not even close.
Wait, are you talking about Rapunzel or are you talking about Tangled?
That's Tangled, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It's the same
All right.
thing.
Results are in. We have a tie.
Oh wow.
You can either start things off at Cassawetti or just stumble into enemy stronghold.
Somebody flip a coin.
You want to say?
I got dice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got dice already. You want to say high is what?
Evens and odds.
Odds castle, evens stronghold.
See, I got this big chalky die. Right here.
Odds castle.
Yes.
I rolled a 4.
He's
That
lying.
is enemy stronghold.
Well, that's what I wanted. He's not lying.
Enemy stronghold it is. If I was lying, I would have said the other one.
So, enemy stronghold. So the question is then, how have we ended up at the enemy stronghold?
That's for the adventurers to get there, right? They
Were
just
we
gonna
pla-
accidentally stumble into it, and there it is.
They were hired to steal back stolen goods, maybe.
Or they're just a bunch of buttheads, and they're grave robbing. Since this is a necromancer, their grave robbing is like, oh, this is a whole thing.
Is it a necromancer though?
Oh wait, I forgot we changed it to
Yeah.
the Elbeg.
Yeah, he's the Elbeg.
Just a late cleric.
It's late cleric. I can heal you.
not
You
a
just gotta
necromancer.
die first.
Yeah.
Is that really healing them?
He's alive.
Yeah, buddy.
I think. Do you know what? I think an over/underused trope, depending on who you talk to.
What's that?
We're going down the route of sword and
Wake
sorcery.
up in the dungeon. Mm.
You wake up in chains.
Wake up in.
We got Skittles.
Well, there's an extra adventure on our screens.
So, we can wake up in the dungeon. Or we could sort of
I like the
Skyrim-
idea of just accidentally stumbling onto what appears to be an abandoned castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Or
also
you could,
work.
if
Because
it's like
that happens frequently, and I love it.
if the stronghold's kind of like underground stronghold, you could be, exploring a cave and then fall down, like the floor gives out and you fall down into the entrance to the stronghold. Or you fall down in a room in the stronghold.
Boom.
But now you see, the interesting thing is though, that becomes, is that really room 1? because room 1 then becomes you deciding to get to this place.
Right.
And so that actually technically becomes room 2. And this is where I think a lot of people struggle in the fact that they come up with an idea and then they go, wait, how do we actually get to the idea to start?
So I like this idea of this abandoned castle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your adventure is going through the woods, and we could actually just tie into a royal carriage, like you mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
Tie that in. That's our room 1 scenario. Then our room 2 is actually fighting the castle and figuring out how to deal with that, right?
Yes.
And it just kind of sets up a flow a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So if we change that to room 2.
Yeah, well, yeah. The enemy stronghold can be room 2, room 1 for this scenario. This wrecked carriage. It'll present a much better hook than
Yeah, it would.
Because that's basically what room 1 is. It's designed to give us the hook, and hopefully the adventurers take it and run.
Are you talking like treasure map or something like?
Oh, somebody didn't quite die as easily as the enemy thought.
Gotcha.
Something simple like that.
Something like that. Room 1 is a wrecked carriage on the road, tracks leading up to a less trodden path.
Yeah, potential survivor could be there.
Yep.
Going, you gotta save the princess. And then it dies.
They've stolen the treasure and the princess. Add the treasure, so it's like, ooh, I want gold.
Seeing as we're ripping off Disney.
We say Obi-Wan?
I don't know.
Well, you already said
True. You have now.
You have now. And again, and this is where
What about 2B1?
Or we can go full John Oliver.
Uh-oh.
Larry Skywalker. And the big bear type of guy.
They leave a ring, like everybody's dead, but there's a ring sitting on the carriage front, and when you put the ring on, it casts like some form of a little illusion of her talking.
Okay, this is too much. This is getting really silly.
It's very hypothetical, so I mean, it's not like it's really
getting really silly.
Yeah, but that's what's great. You can draw inspiration from absolutely anywhere. Like that's a thing in space, but the parallels between Star Wars and the sort of 1970s sword and sorcery is just like even from the artwork from the movie posters, it's just sort of like classic sword and sorcery. It's wonderful.
I mean, Star Wars is just an old Western movie, but in space.
Yep. Space opera.
I'm not even joking.
It really is. Yeah,
it's more or less a Western, and then you have the what is it? Samurai Wizards.
Samurai Wizards. Yep.
Yeah.
With just enough technology, just. So anyway, room 1, wrecked carriage on the road, tracks leading up to a lone path. Room 2 then, enemy stronghold. So the question then becomes, what do we want room 5 to be?
Room 5.
That's the payoff. So.
Yeah. Room 5 is our resolution, reward, or potential plot twist leading further into other things.
Maybe the princess was already killed. The necromancer, when he dies, she dies too.
I think the touchy thing that you have to worry about if you're doing a plot hook at the end of plot twist at the end of your one shot is the setting for your one shot. Like
Right.
A one shot is a self-enclosed story, but it can be.
You can always leave it
campaign.
open end, and then
Yeah.
somebody else can run with it in the future.
Yeah. But if
I
you are just
always enjoyed
Night
doing
Shanks.
Oh, I like that, Tigertron. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Let's actually incorporate that.
It's very fairy tale. Yeah, it's good. What can't you believe, Shanks? Sorry.
I think that would make an excellent Room 5.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
Wedding of the Princess to the Necromancer.
Wedding of the. I think that's technically a Room 4 thing.
No, because the idea is that the twist being that she's already dead.
Right. Well, like the plot twist, if it's there, it needs to serve a purpose. Whereas if you have, because Room 4 is supposed to be your climax or big battle or whatever,
Yep.
or the centralized conflict. If I see the princess getting kind of locked into as a character, if I were to see this situation, it's much more pressing to attack the necromancer right away.
So we do that then.
Right? Yeah.
I think I see where Ash was coming from with that. Like Room 5 being like, again, it's one of those choice things. Like if they choose to kill the necromancer, then they choose to kill the princess too, because she was already killed and he had raised her. If they choose to listen to the princess, then they can technically allow them to get married because she was dead and marrying the necromancer. It's, I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah,
I see the idea.
Room 4 and 5 are supposed to kind of, even though it's self-contained, it still sets up choices for the characters, which is what it's necessary.
I think this is my...
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I suppose it's my tendency to always want to mess with people. Is that...
Right.
Is it really her choice? Like, or has she really been kidnapped, or has she just run away, or...
Oh, yeah. No, that I have no issues with. But Room 5, in the terms of the guide, is supposed to be like the reward or revelation, usually.
The treasure room.
Room 5 could be the wedding reception.
No,
whether there's people there or not.
The princess is another castle.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I was like, oh, it's just so simple yet so chef's kiss.
I only just got that. It's too early in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn that mushroom.
So basically Room 4, they stumble in and they are at the wedding. The princess is up there. That could be fun.
Yeah, that's where the actual choice goes into play, and then some sort of conflict's going to happen.
Yeah, so you kind of need 2 Room 5s then, because what happens if this happens, or what happens if they choose this? Like, there's
that's
really
that's a neat thing. Is especially being a dungeon master, is you just be adjustable, but know what your plot points are for your story.
I think this sort of becomes Back at the King Queen, or I'll put that like this.
I can't see what you're typing.
That's okay.
Oh, it's a surprise. Okay, I gotcha.
So either you did save the princess because she wanted to be saved, or you've all ended up as guests at the necromancer's wedding. Which, to my mind, usually means that's happened.
The TPK scenario, yeah.
You're now all guests at the necromancer's wedding.
You all drink the punch.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Which
Your faded consciousness is there, just watching it happen, and you can't do anything about it.
or are actively participating, which is always interesting.
Well, at that point, it's not your control anyway. So
Yeah. That's down to the players. So it becomes, you know, what they actually want to have happen. Which means we only really need. So we've got the enemy stronghold,
yeah,
which is going to be our abandoned castle. So I can get rid of this. We only really need to get from entering the enemy stronghold to the wedding. So how are we going to achieve that?
The neat thing about abandoned castles, there's a lot of rooms that could potentially have a lot of bad things in them,
So
or nothing at all.
the question is, do we want to go up to the attic or down to the basement?
All right, I can make a poll for that. Nice simple poll.
Because as
Focus
far as the
watching
DM's concerned, I don't think it really matters.
No, not really.
And actually, it's kind of up to what the players want to do.
Yeah, we don't even need to make a poll for that. It's how many rooms do you want them to go through before they figure out which way to go?
Well, we know the abandoned castle. We're going to want to have some sort of battle.
Some sort of minor battle that the character should be able to win.
Yeah.
Basically,
Just throw it to Rask at them if they go up.
Basically, just a resource drain, so that way the final battle is more stressed.
Precisely, and it might be worth. This is where a little bit of storytelling stuff can come in. So, if you think about Lewis Carroll, who was an absolute master storyteller, who was the main protagonist in that for most of the story? There's an argument that says it's the White Rabbit. Because it's actually the White Rabbit's story, you're just following it from the point of view of somebody else.
You're following through the whole.
Yeah, which is an interesting sort of way of looking at the story. So maybe this is where we can introduce Mini Bad End Guy, who is sometimes known as, you'll see them in other things known as this. The Lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Because it kind of draws you in and gives you or maybe this is the bad guy. No, actually, this is just the bad guy's head henchman. And it's always a good way of doing it. So, who would be the henchman or the mini bad end boss for a necromancer on their way to a wedding?
Well, probably somebody with similar capabilities. Apprentice wizard of some sort.
Yeah, like his apprentice or something like that. Someone who.
So we can go apprentice.
Or we could just have a room full of cultists
Eagle.
who aren't necessarily dead yet.
Or this could be the actual necromancer, and the big bad is the demon or the whoever he draws his power from.
Yeah. That could also work.
I like that one. I like that one.
Yep.
Because once he dies, the big bad can just bring him back to life, and they can still end up at the wedding.
That is true.
Or the princess is getting married to the demon.
Yeah. So the necromancer is the necromancer is the lieutenant, and the demon is the big bad is the princess.
Potentially that could be true, Tiger.
Yeah. The big bad could be the princess. Yeah. You are right.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that's not an option at this point. Because we do what we do. most of us here enjoy a good moral dilemma for our characters.
Yeah.
And they're just letting chips fall where they go.
So if we're going to have some sort of battle, we need something to occupy the characters before we get to the final. So
Right.
this is where the dilemma
In room
of
3, yeah.
puzzle, interaction, something.
Yeah. Room 3 is usually the trick or setback that just kind of hinders the party for a little bit.
Yeah.
It could be something else that's designed to burn extra resources.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't,
Seems like for abandoned castle, like you're working with a necromancer, so there could be magical traps. It could be stuff like that, or it could just be like the traps that were originally set up in the castle before it was abandoned. Oh wow!
You two are nutty.
That's fine.
I was thinking it in the Grouch Couch Discord earlier. In this Boppet song just came out. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
It is a good song.
It's a bop. I could dig it.
Yep.
Wasn't expecting them to come in here and drop that like that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it nonetheless.
It's a bop. It is a bop.
It's a bop. Is that what the kids say? Oh, I'm sorry. Banger. It's a banger. That's what the kids are saying these days.
Yeah.
So do we go for trap puzzle or something they need to, I don't know, get? Like, I don't know.
Oh,
key to a room.
The wherever this wedding's being held at, right?
Mm-hmm.
The locking mechanism has 3 different locks on it. It can only be opened by specialized keys. And so you have to go through the castle and find these keys.
So that's, yep. And again, that's depending on how long you want the one shot to be. Because searching through multiple rooms, trying to find... I quite like with one shots, everything... If you're going into that room, it's going to be contained in that room. So...
I'm going with basic escape room mentality because I've actually designed I've helped design a room where the door had 3 different keys and it was found within 2 rooms previously.
Yeah.
You could have them search the castle and then same thing with the 3 keys, but you could have them in like, God, Disney again, Beauty and the Beast style, like glass encased cases hanging from the ceiling. And they're behind the necromancer, and you have to get through him to get to them.
Mm-hmm.
The necromancer's got 1 key, and then the other 2 keys could be hiding on one of the necromancer goons.
Yeah,
and that's the question though: do you want to sap resources or do you want to sap time? That's the question. Because, especially if they're doing it for something like for our game. You really want to minimise the amount of time that's being spent running around a castle.
In that case, what do you do if they forget the keys that are on the other 2? That would kind of... But then they have to run back to get the keys.
It's the DM's discretion on how that goes, right?
Yeah.
But like, very simply, we could easily just go, this zombie 1 has it, zombie 2 has it, and the necromancer has it. And they should be found pretty easily within the rooms if people are searching bodies. The players could already have the keys and not realize that they're keys for this door.
Yeah,
there you go.
That could work.
Because player characters love looting bodies, regardless if they're undead or not.
Loot the body. Loot the body.
Always loot the body.
If they look like they have something valuable with them, they're going to loot it.
Yeah, and that's one way of doing it. We can put the key. You can sort of hide the keys on them, and maybe the keys aren't obvious that they're keys. Maybe they're just
right.
You know,
they're specialized keys. Trinkets. They have. Yeah.
You could set also like colored keys, 1 for each of the characters, and then as they walk into the room, the necromancer could cast a spell, and the only way that they can walk out is if they have the keys on their person. So that way they could try to walk out and just walk into a glass wall. Can't walk out, so they have to go back and find the keys to get out of the room.
Yeah.
Oh. That's a concept. So instead of having a locked door, just have like basically force walls
Yeah.
that you can only get through when you are actively holding a key.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiger, a way to get around that is when you describe the death of whatever, like let's say it is just a key like around the neck. Whenever you describe the death, you can say as it falls down, a shiny object glistens on its chest as it falls. So then it's like it gives them a reason to go to that body.
Yeah, it's a fair point. You're sort of highlighting things that they need along the way, which is always good for a DM to do, is sort of point out maybe this might be useful later, even if you don't understand it now.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're going with. I think we're going with keys. It's going to be more of a puzzle, but it's keys
Right.
needed to.
They have to
I
defeat
guess-
him, and then to get out, they have to have the keys on their physical person, or they're trapped in the room.
Yeah, I like the idea of these force walls or warning walls that can only be deactivated when you're holding the keys, which this case could be like small glass orbs or anything of that fashion, some sort of trinket that it's tied to. That sounds like a lot of fun as a player.
It does.
That's an important part of designing one shots, is always look at it from a player's perspective too. If it doesn't sound like you're going to have fun with it as a player, it's probably not worth including.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, from a DM perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I would probably now call this done. And this is where it leads into...
The objectives are there, which is great.
Yeah.
But
this is where it leads into how much as a DM you want to prepare. Because I would be able to look at this now, and all I would need is maybe a couple of stat lines for skeletons, zombies, some other stuff, maybe a necromancer. Maybe have an idea of what the keys would be and where they'd be hidden, and then a whole bunch more stat blocks for some monsters. The rest of it can kind of come from up here. Now, the reason I can do that is I've been doing that for 15 years. When I first started, I would have pages and pages and pages of stuff.
Well, that's the neat thing. Like this is actually a really cool start where it could actually just become a small campaign in itself.
Yeah.
So it's just like how much do you and your party are, as long as you guys are having fun and you're able to, you can expand and contract it like an accordion all you want.
Yeah.
They want to clear the entire castle. Cool. Make it a sizable castle for them.
Yeah. And I mean,
if they just want to get in and out, it's just a tower. Who knows?
You turn a corner and it's an endless hallway with hundreds of doors.
That's it.
Oh god.
And
those are not fun scenarios.
You could actually introduce the necromancer. If you were doing this as a longer campaign, I'd introduce the necromancer all the way up here, where they kind of get a glimpse of somebody kind of like going through the wreckage and carrying a body off into the woods, and you kind of arrive too late to find out what's going on. Maybe
I mean, you could have it set up right.
Pardon?
Yeah, you could have it set up right away where you're fighting from the get-go.
That's it, and skeletons could attack you while you're looking at the thing, and that becomes an entire. So basically, each one of these then becomes its own sort of session, and that's what's great about one-shot prepping. Is you sort of, if you have it always in the mindset that I've got this one-shot idea, that can then be contracted down into a single session. You can play it out over 10 sessions, and that's a campaign, and that's basically what DMing is. It's just
right.
Although someone once described it as keeping a bunch of cats entertained for 2 hours a week, which is pretty fair. But that's basically all I do. Is getting it to that stage, and then you can go further. But the hardest thing is always coming up with the idea to start with, and coming up with something that you think is going to work.
Random challenge: include Fig Newtons. I remember seeing that on your channel, and that was amazing. Ah, yeah, the important part about DMing,
Done.
especially like one shots and in long campaigns, is pacing and making sure it feels like a cohesive story as a whole. One of the games I'm currently in, my DM does not pace very well. It's like we just did this really cool thing. We just more or less finished out one of our big party goals, and we didn't even get a chance to celebrate at all. As just shit, just literally hitting the fan really fast. So got to remember to let your players breathe a little bit every once in a while too. Like what's your name? Newton the Fig. Oh gosh. Are we gonna get this one shot into the Discord?
Yes, so I will save that, throw that in the Discord, and then that is a great little sort of side note. And actually, what would be really interesting if there are DMs sort of out there who sort of do Monster of the Week or something like that. What would be really interesting is if you use that and then come back and tell us how it went. That would be really, really good.
Or if you're really daring enough, take this little encounter that we created, modify it for your own needs, and throw it back in our face. We would love to play this kind of little game.
I would love to walk away from the castle and derail it completely. I mean, what?
Well, you're the bard. That's kind of your shtick.
I'm a brave man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh well.
Yes,
Well,
please split the party because we'll go this way, you go that way by yourself, and then out of nowhere, giant cave troll on the path.
That's one of the cool things about this little one shot we made, because we got these keys, right? And that could potentially just split up a party just enough where it could just get them racked.
I don't know about you, but I'm just gonna stay next to the carriage and enjoy a nice, delectable fig Newton snack.
No, come on.
While you guys do
Grab
all
you by the
that.
shirt collar and drag it.
So that is now in the Discord.
It's all about the fig Newtons.
So that's now in our Discord under
Awesome.
general party time.
Yeah.
So there you go. And that's how easy you can come up with a one-shot idea.
We took our time on that. We probably could have generated that within 15 minutes if we wanted
Pacing is
to.
why I can't go to CR. I feel it goes way too slow. Do you know what? Do you know what? I'm another one of these people that I actually never managed to get fully into CR ever.
CR is interesting because I watch it for the characters. I'm not watching it for the story.
I watch it for the players for sure.
I'm not even watching it for players. It's the characters. I love the designs that the characters are.
What I haven't tried yet is I haven't tried their anime series on Amazon. I'm just waiting.
I'm watching it right now. It's amazing.
It's great.
Amazing. Don't watch it with children.
Okay.
It's
do not watch it with children. Yeah.
Mine are too young.
I'm literally I'm watching the next 3 episodes that just came out today, right after this. So
the last 3 episodes came out last night. I got to join in a chat that was watching that. Boy, howdy.
Yeah, I really hope that it does well, because it's just going to open up such a huge avenue of Dungeons and Dragons related content out into the world.
Yeah.
Actually, the original one with Marlon Wayans didn't do us a whole lot of justice, and this is actually just done really good so far.
Oh, that's
people are loving it.
I'll
and the greatest thing about it, you literally don't have to know anything about the world. You don't have to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, and you can still enjoy it to the fullest.
Well, I'll give it a go and see what it's like. But yeah, I wasn't a massive fan. Like I watched a couple of episodes. I just couldn't get into it. I think it was more. I also struggle as a player in Dungeons and Dragons, and I've had this a few times with people, because I DM'd for so long. I find sometimes when I'm playing it, even when playing, it feels a little bit slow. just because,
Yeah.
you know, because I sort of know what my turn sequence is going to be, and I'm used to reacting to 4 players and running 10 monsters and all that kind of stuff. It sometimes just feels a little bit flat when you're the player if you've been DMing for so long. So it's kind of, I get it from the point of view of pacing. Watching somebody else's game sometimes just doesn't quite match the pace that you would normally want to keep
Right.
up. I've been there. Right. So we have the one-shot idea ready in the chat. That's ready to go for anybody that wants to sort of have a look at it and figure out a one-shot based upon it. It is stupidly early in the morning here in the United Kingdom, and
Yeah,
I am absolutely dying. So, is there anything else people want to have a chat about?
I think since it's early enough for the rest of us, is that we can we can probably go hang out in Discord for a little bit.
I think that's.
I'm down for that. Let's see here. Just looking to see if there's anybody else who's live at the moment.
I haven't seen anybody, but
Right.
And then the only other thing I've got is to all of our DMs that we've got that are wanting to do it. Just make sure you have a date. We need to make sure that we get finalized dates and you guys are ready to sound check because we don't want we don't want anybody to get missed.
Yeah, make sure you, if you're applying with us, you're on, if you're communicating with us frequently, that helps a lot.
Yeah, especially when I'm awake when everyone's usually asleep, so it's I kind of need at least a little bit of back and forth to be able to arrange everything.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think we're in a good place. Should be hopefully.
Yeah, that was fun.
Hopefully back next week to regular service with with some a DM competing for the challenge. That's all from me. Anyone else? Well,
the Discord link one more time.
All it needs to say then. Thank you very much to everyone in chat for hanging out and for throwing out some ideas. It's always great to have engagement and people sort of helping out and learning a bit, hopefully along the way, as to how sort of some of us play RPGs in different ways. Please come out and hang out in the Discord. Maybe even flens out this one shot until it's like a full-on 20-year campaign with.
I found somebody to raid. I'm pressing that button.
Roger.
Found somebody to raid.
Yeah,
we're pressing the button. We're gonna go.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're gonna go for raid our friend Thick Pastel.
Oh,
I believe she's playing a game with the Cantrip Cast, which is really silly because Careful Cantrip and the Cantrip Cast are doing a co-op game tomorrow. It's gonna be silly.
That was pretty instant. It took me straight over there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Nick. Mom. Hey.
Oops.
Hey. Hey.
Sorry, I'm getting harassed about blocks right now.
Oh,
that's all right. I understand.
Okay, I hit the host of the channel, not raid a channel. Oh well.
Okay. Everybody go watch Thick Pastel. And then come and hang out in Discord.
Yeah.
That's much
easier.
There we go.
I think I figured it out. Okay.
There we go. All sorted. Right. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
See you later.